Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name's Chella and this is Chella Reads a Bit. Today I'm going to be bringing you my January wrap-up. If you enjoy watching, please like and subscribe if you would like. I hope to have more content because I'm more free these days since unfortunately I did have to leave my job. And in order to do that, I don't have a lot to talk about in January because it was really busy where I was working and everything was stressful. I was too tired to like start anything new. So now that I have more free time, I'll have more time to record, have more time to read. So hopefully from now on, I'll have a lot more to upload. But if you do like, please subscribe. I would love to have you here. In January, I did read 4 books and they were all within the same series. It was the last 4 of a 13-book series. And the first book I read was the 10th book in the Sookie Stackhouse series, which is Dead in the Family. So at the end of 2021, I finished the 9th book, and so I had the last 4, so I figured, okay, they're easy to get through, and I was just too tired to start anything new. So I started this one first on the 1st of January. So I really don't have a lot to say about these books because, again, it's the last 4. But the Sookie Stackhouse novels are about Sookie Stackhouse, who is a telepath who lives in Bonton. I forget how you say it. This is the series that is inspired True Blood. She's a telepath that works at Merlot's, and one day a vampire named Bill walks into Merlot's, and it's the first time she has a blank space. She can't hear his thoughts at all, so it's very appealing to her, you know, after being bombarded day in and day out with people's thoughts. Things happen, and then she's sucked into the vampire world and eventually the supernatural world. So this is the 10th book, and so there's not much I can say about this specific one. There are things with characters that, like, you know, things changed, people leave, people come in, and then they leave again. The thing with this series is that it's not the best, but I enjoy my time when I'm reading them, and I honestly don't really have a lot to say because they're just easy, quick to get through, but there's not really much to hold on to after the fact. Like, it's fine, like I've been saying this whole time, it's like a middle of the road 3-star series, but and it's hard to even recall what happened in the previous books because it's fine, and it's like easy to get through, and then you just forget about it. I know that there's a pairing that I was looking forward to, and I did enjoy it, but it wasn't enough to, like, for me to rate it any higher than like a 3. The thing is that and it's like with all of the books, Charlaine Harris, who wrote the series, she has this thing, like, it's adding up to this thing, there's stuff going on, you're trying to get to this point, but then the climax is really quick and abrupt, and it doesn't feel like, it's not very satisfying. There's like not much to it. It's not very action-packed. Not that I care about action, I'm not much of an action person, but there's not even, it just feels very lackluster once you get to it. Like, you have all this build up and then you get to the point in which something is supposed to happen and the resolution is just so flat. Like, there's not much to, like, it's really wrapped up quick, and you're like, and then you realize, oh, this is like the ending of the book, like that. Like, you had this, like, you build up this big bad, and then the big bad is like, you poke it with a needle and it deflates. That's what it feels like a lot of the time with these, but I kind of sometimes don't mind because I don't care about a lot of action, so it's more like characters. But at the same time, it does make this like less memorable, but it does make it easy to like just get to the end. So I did give this a 3-star. It's a 10th in a series. Not much I really can say. Sookie can be annoying. Again, it's very repetitive in what she says and what she talks about, and the things that happen. And sometimes I'm like, I don't understand the point, but you do you, boo-boo. But yeah, it was fine. 3 stars. The next one was the 11th book, which is Dead Reckoning. Again, can't really say anything about the plot of this one. It's the 11th book. There's not much I can say because I don't want to spoil it. There's just like a lot of things with the supernatural that's coming out, like, and so there's repercussions. Oh my gosh, why is that word so difficult? There's a lot of repercussions on the bar, so it's a lot of like things revolving around the bar in this one. And Sam, which is Sookie's boss, and it was fine. I think that there's like this plot that's being added into it that I didn't really care for. The characters were kind of starting to get on my nerves. I was like, okay, what's the point? Where are we going? When are we gonna get there? And again, it was just like you build up the bad and then the bad is defeated very quick and then it's done. And I'm like, okay. And again, with all of these books, you have to be reminded about Sookie's boobs being big and everything. And I'm like, good for you that you have these amazing boobs. I don't know that life, but I don't care to hear it in every book. Like, I don't care. I get the telepath stuff, but your boobs are kind of less important to me. But that's me personally. If you care about that and want to hear about it, go ahead and read these books. She sure as heck makes sure you know about them in every book and that they're still there. It was, again, a 3 stars. Not really anything memorable. The romance was fine. They're middle of the road. I don't know what else to do about these. But yeah, 3 stars. 11th in the series. It kind of was like, it's like starting to get to a point. I was getting to the point in these that I'm like, okay, now I'm just reading them to finish them. And that's pretty much what happened. But I mean, it was fine. It's fun while you're reading it to a point, and then when it's done, it's like, okay, I'll survive. And you know, that's what I'm doing. The next one was the 12th book, which is Deadlocked, and this, of course, like starts from the ending of the last one. With this one, it was a lot of things that were very predictable. I could see it from a mile away, but you know, Sookie being a telepath, you would think that she would be a little more tuned in, but a lot of the time she wasn't. And I'm like, okay, you're starting to piss me off because you keep telling me every 2 seconds that you're a telepath, and I know that you're a telepath, but then it seems like you're missing very key things, and then you're so gullible, and then you let people walk all over you, and then you're upset that someone points it out. Like, the things that Sookie lets people get away with, or like how she just trusts people so fully and doesn't question it. Well, she questions it, that's the thing. She questions it, but then she just lets it go from her brain. I'm like, okay, you need to really sit and simmer on this, my guy, because clearly there's something brewing under your nose, and it's like right in front of you. And then I'm like, not surprised when things happen, but Sookie is. She's like, the Pikachu meme, and I'm like, I saw it, it was pretty apparent, and like she'll say the same thing over and over again of like why something's occurring, but she won't do anything about it, and then she's like, oh my god, they betrayed me, and I'm like, okay, go cry me a river, then you'll have to get over it. I mean, I don't know. But, I mean, it just started to get so repetitive, and then just, like, things were brought into this that I'm like, are you kidding me? This is the only way you could have had this separation to occur. It was, you know, again, 3 stars, but it was starting to upset me because I'm like, girl, there's no reason for this. The lack of communication between Sookie and her love interest was so fucking annoying. It's like, maybe communicate, and then she would bring it up like, do you have secrets? And like, they would say to each other that they do, and it's like, do you think that's good? And then it's like, no, like obviously you're not going to tell every little detail, but having an open relationship about things that are happening to you is pretty important. So clearly there's a disconnect here. Maybe this isn't a good relationship. So it was just starting to piss me off. And then just the back and forth between her and her love interest, like, oh, I love you, but this thing, and oh my god, I just couldn't stop rolling my goddamn eyes. It was the most annoying thing. And again, the resolution, the reasoning for the big bad is also starting to get lackluster. I just didn't really care. It was 3 stars. I couldn't even really tell you what this was about anyways, because they're just like forgettable. They're enjoyable and then forgettable. And then I'm sitting here like, I don't even know what I fucking just read. But I mean, I had a good time while I read it. But yeah, the 12th in the series. Only had 1 left to go after this, which takes me into the 13th and last book in the Sookie Stackhouse novels, which is Dead Ever After. So I hated
I really did not like this book.
Oh my, it was, I didn't want to pick up another book. Like it could have easily finished this like days before the 31st, but I was like, okay, I don't want to start anything new before February, because I read every day, and then I would have had to start a new book, because once I finish this, I would have to. So I was like, I don't want to start a new book yet, because I'm going to have a bunch of books, not a bunch, but I'm going to have some books on my February TBR, and I want to be there for February. So I was like, okay, I'm going to just have this span out into the 31st. I just wanted this to be done. I didn't hate the events of the last book, but the things that then transpired in this book kind of had me fucked up a bit, because characters kind of changed in a way, like their personality kind of got shifted, and I'm like, I don't know who you are, but Charlene is trying to tell me that you're this character, but you don't really seem like this character, so I'm kind of confused. It's just the events kind of, and then the reasoning for the bad thing that's happening. Like, of course, in every book, something is happening. Sookie's life is in peril. Someone is after her. So, I mean, if that's a spoiler, oh well. I feel like that's apparent. But just the reasoning, and like, it was so convoluted that I'm like, what was the purpose? Why? Even within the last part of the book, Sookie is explaining the reasoning to someone, and the person's like, that's pretty convoluted. I'm like, yeah, this fucking book was convoluted. So you can even admit in your own fucking book that this is convoluted. There was no point. Why Sookie? Why is Sookie that important? Like, just like, and then the shift in something, I can't spoil it, so I can't even talk about it. It like brought someone back into the story for a purpose, but then it came out to a 2 stars. This was a 2-star book. I was so kind of upset with like the events that happened. Like, I understood, like, maybe she didn't end up with the person that I wanted her to end up with. I didn't mind the person that she kind of ended up with at the end, but the way in which it got there kind of was like, it changed the character. It kind of was like a cheap way to have it, like, everything happen. It was very cheap, but also a very apparent, and very, I saw it coming from a mile away. But I kind of, it was so stupid. It ended in the weirdest way, very quick, very like, okay, this is what I read this whole book. You did all these events just for this teeny weeny part of the conflict in the climax, to then have this bit in the end of like, it pretty much like not an info dump per se, but like just telling me why, like the reasoning. And also there was like a pacing difference in this one, and like there was an addition of a different perspective every so often than just Suki's perspective, and I was like, I'm not here for it. Like, sometimes I can read books from other like where it's more than one perspective, but this kind of like didn't work. It was so different. I just didn't appreciate it. There were the reasoning, the point of the conflict, the point of thing that's happening was so stupid. The whole, spoiler alert, if it's even a spoiler, the whole reasoning is because I don't like Suki. That's it. Like, that's the whole reason. I'm like, this is how you want to end the series? Is like, it was so dumb. 2 stars. I mean, I enjoyed it to a point, but then like looking at it from more of like a logic standpoint, and like it has like moving parts, it's a 2, and I'm like, whatever, this ending is stupid. And it was so boring. It was so boring. It was so pointless. And like the repetitiveness within what Suki's thinking, and it was just 2 stars. 2 stars, and that's how I ended January. That's how I ended January, with a 2-star read. Isn't that kind of sad? But that's all that I read in January. If you did enjoy this video, even though I'm very scatterbrained and can't explain things to save my life, I would love it if you liked and subscribed. Hopefully, as time goes on, I get better at these wrap-ups, because my brain kind of like goes 10,000 times, like 10,000 miles a minute. So I'm like on to the next thing in my brain, but I haven't even spoken about the one I'm on now. And maybe I'll get better at explaining books, which is funny to say, but hopefully I'll get better at explaining what the book is about and why I didn't like it and what I did like. But hopefully it'll get easier as time goes on. But I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.